everyone. So today we are going to start our new crash course. Not crash course, it will be like full to full system design course. And in it, what we will learn? We will learn system design. I hope this will be visible to you. If not visible, I am going to increase the size so that you can see it. So in system design playlist, I will make some videos and I will cover all the topics from beginning to advanced, and I will not skip this playlist. If I forget to continue, then you can remind me by using the comments. So system design is basically divided into two parts: high level and low level, which you can search on internet easily that what is system design, and you will get roadmap basically, and you can see how the system is working. And basically it is an advanced course. Generally 1 or 2 years ago it was not asked for SD1, but now since the competition is rising, so we can see that in interviews of SD1 also they ask system design. And you can see here GFG tutorials are there for system design, and these tutorials are more than enough if you follow them. But the reason is that you can't understand them if you don't see the video. And also there you would be, if you directly see them and start to hear them, you will feel a lot of burden. So I don't want to give a lot of burden to you, so I will start the playlist. So see system design, HLD and LLD, low level and high level. So see here you can see that you have everything that you want to see, and you can prepare from here. What is system design, HLD, design life cycle, you can see everything. But the main problem is that the same thing I was saying, that you cannot learn it because it is very much tricky, and you also not be able to get it. That's why I'm starting this video series in which you will be getting how to deal with it. So first of all, I want to make it clear that when we design a system, so it is a very practical thing. It is not a thing for theoretical, but theoretical questions may be asked, because most of the time you would be told to make a URL shortener or any other component, or a full library system or ticket booking system, like that. And in between there those questions, when he will be telling you to implement that, he will be asking some questions. The interview will be asking some questions that you will have to answer. So when we design a system, system can be designed, system means whatever platform we are designing. Now whenever we are designing an application, there are two kinds to develop it. First is monolithic, and the second is microservices. So what is monolithic and what is microservice? So first of all come to monolithic. So when we come to monolithic, monolithic means, mono means what? Single. Lithic means stone. But you don't have to go with stone. You means single application is used for all. Now what monolithic basically means? It basically means you go to VS Code, you make a single folder. Suppose this code forces folder is single folder, and inside this you made all the backend file, all the front end file and everything. And then you in the same repo you are making database, in the same you are making front end, in the same you are making back end, and same you are making payment, deployment, every file you are making in the same application. Means every person is working on the same repository or folder, you can consider it like that. What is a microservices system? In microservices this is not the case. All all will be divided in different applications. This is for front end, so it will be designed separately. This is for backend. This is will be designed by other developers, backend developers individually, and this is database, and this will be designed differently. And in the end, these all will be connected to each other via APIs to share data and information. But since in this all were in the same application, so there was no need of this type of much APIs to be used between front end and back end. See, now there are some advantages and disadvantages which are very important, because in interview the interviewer can ask you the advantage and disadvantage, and you will see that okay, I can tell theoretically what are advantage disadvantage, but it is very difficult to frame the answer during the interviews. It is very simple to say that I will say something, but when it's come to interview, you are not able to find proper words which to use to give you answer. So you would have to hurt some of the words to give the advantage and disadvantage of these systems. So first of all, you can say that this is hard to scale. Scalability is issue, because you can see that everything is in the same application. So when we have to scale it, there would be a lot of headache to do this. While if we have to scale this system, different backend engineers can scale this, then backend engineers can scale the database and also make the front end to be available to millions of users. And then connection is already there, so there would be no much issue. Second thing is first thing was of scalability. Second issue is of deployment. When you have to deploy microlithic sorry monolithic, then you face a lot of problems. You can give the same region, because every file every is in the same application, backend, front end, database, and other things. Every service is in the same application. This makes it a lot of difficult to deploy. But when it comes to the case of microservices, then it becomes easy, because front end can be deployed separately, backend can be deployed separately, and database is obviously on the cloud or AWS CVD hosting, and then you can get APIs and use those APIs to share data and information. So first of all, scalability and then deployment completed. Third point is of ID overloading. So what is ID overloading? ID means this VS Code. Suppose you are having the same all the files in the same folder, and now you are working. Now backend, suppose backend file is of 2 GB. Front end file is also of some GB, and database also of some GB, and you are having all those in the same application. Your ID will be overloading. You will not be able to handle those, and you would be getting messy. I suppose you are understanding that when you give all the files in the same folder or application, that will become so messy that you would not be able to handle that. While in this case, since front end is a lot different, backend is different, database different, all other services like booking, payment, all these services are in different applications. So there would not be a single place where all these are together. So the ID overloading issue will not come. Now, what are the disadvantages of, now you know disadvantages of microlithic. Now, what are monolithic? Sorry, I am again and again saying the same thing. Sorry. So now you know the disadvantages of monolithic. Now, all the disadvantages of monolithic can be considered as advantages of microservices. Now, what about the limitations of microservices? Yes, there are. And this is more important questions, because when interviewer asks you, you generally have wired that okay, monolithic is having a lot of disadvantages, and all the disadvantages are advantages of microservices. Now whenever interviewer says, so tell me some disadvantage of microservices, then you got stuck. You think, oh, microservices disadvantages, and then you are unable to figure out what are the disadvantages of microservices. So see, first disadvantage is that when these components, front end, back end, and other services, are tightly coupled, Then the APIs take a lot of time in query resembling, and then the latency increases. What is latency? Latency is just the time taken. I think I can erase this all to now explain this part. So latency is what? Latency is just the time taken to get response. Suppose you made a request and in front end, okay. Now this is your front end, this is back end, and this is database. I'm very slow. You can 2x it if you want to, because I'm explaining slow so that all the person can get it. This is backend and this is database. Okay. Now suppose you have made connection between front end and backend directly, and you made backend and database connection directly, but you don't have front end to database direct connection. Or suppose there is a booking service, confirmation service, and a payment. Now when you want to show the data to the front end, first of all it will have to take response from backend, it will take confirmation from confirmation portal, and payment will be done, and then it will give a successful response to it. Now the time taken for user to get the information, now this is latency. Now when system is tightly coupled, there are a lot of APIs between every component, then you can surely say that there will be a lot of time taken to fetch the resource. So this will cause a lot of latency. So this is the problem of microservices. This is not the case with monolithic. You can see monolithic, everything is at the same application, so it does not take much time because direct connection is there, so no need of APIs. Of course there would be some need, but not as like microservices, because every component is in different application, so you will have to use APIs, and then latency will be there. Second thing, deployment wise easy, okay, but now suppose I want to change my one service like booking service. Now according to this, some confirmation or some other payment application would also have to be updated, and this will cause a lot of havoc. See how. Now you have deployed everything, front and back end and everything. Suppose all the services are also deployed. Now you want to update some services, but since these services are connected to other services via APIs or by data sharing, then you would also have to change other files, because if you did not change other files, it could lead to inconsistency, and thus deployment is easy, but updation after deployment is tough in microservices. I think you must have understood what I am going to say. I just want to say that update, when you update a particular feature, then all the features are need to be updated because they are connected with this. And the third disadvantage is of transaction transaction management. I'm sorry I speak a little louder and faster also. I think my laptop is not working properly, so it doesn't give you the right voice of frequency. That's why I have to use a louder voice. I think that I must be audible. So suppose this is component 1. Sorry, you can say service 1. Microservices means service, all the whole service is divided into some small services. This is service 2 and this is service 3, and now you are making a transaction, okay, and this is service 4. Now when you are making a transaction, suppose it transaction is complete in this service also, in this service, and at the last service a transaction failed. Now should you return transaction success or fail? You would have learned the atom acid properties of transaction management. If you have not, then you can search on the internet acid properties. These are the properties of transaction. Not this property, this atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Atomicity means that transaction is a single process. Even if it is divided into multiple along multiple services, then also it is a single thing. Whole transaction is a single thing. So it should either be complete or not complete. Now, if in these three services this is complete and the fourth one it is failed, then it should be failed. But you would have to manage it. You would have to make different states for every service, and then in the end check that yes, was it successful at every service, and if it was successful at every service, then only you can say that okay, the transaction is complete. But this is not the case in monolithic. Okay, in monolithic you have everything in the same component. In the same component all the services are there, so transaction happens only one time. Transaction is not divided into some services. Okay, now I think you would got it, because all the services are there and you would have to take make a track of records in all the services where the transaction is getting place. Okay, so these were the advantages and disadvantages of monolithic and microservices services. And if you have any doubt, you can just ask in the comment section, and also read from JFG documentation because that is very important. I will keep the video off here because I think that mm, I have completed this topic of monolithic and microservices. So thank you very much and Jai Hind.